webinar series organized by the Center for Nepal Studies UK. My name is Shushma Basnet, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar. I'm joined and supported by my co-team members, Dr. Krishna Dikari, convener of this webinar series, Lokendra Thakal, Executive Director, Center for Nepal Studies UK, Dr. Sangeeta Shrestha, Media Coordinator, and Naresh Kapangi Magar, our co-convener. Before we start, some ground rules. Just wanted to highlight a few ground rules. Please note that this session is recorded and we will be streaming live on our Center for Nepal Studies UK Facebook page. The recordings will also be available at our CNS UK YouTube channel for those who want to view the recordings later. Due to the time constraints, I suggest all panelists to ensure they finish on time allocated to them. Please ensure all your microphone is muted to minimize any background noise. We have a Q&A session towards the end of the webinar, or we may have it in between as and when required. We will be accepting all questions through our chat box, so please feel free to submit your question throughout the presentation, and I will address them in the order they are received. So to begin with, let's turn our attention to a topic that is both timely and deeply significant, the dual realities faced by thousands of Nepalese students pursuing higher education abroad. Over the last 2 decades, there has been a sharp increase in the number of Nepali students studying abroad, and UK is no exception to this. According to the latest Higher Education Student Statistics HESA 2023-2024, Nepal became the UK's 6th largest source of students in the year ending June 2024, growing by 63% over the previous years. Driven by aspirations for global exposure, improved career prospects, and the desire to overcome limited domestic opportunities, the journeys of Nepalese students begins with great hope. However, behind these aspirations lie significant challenges such as emotional, financial, academic, cultural, as well as immigration rules and policies. The excitement of new opportunities often comes with a burden of isolation, pressure to succeed, and the struggles to adapt, which leads us to the pressing question, are Nepali students abroad in crisis? Through this webinar, we aim to unpack this complex issue by bringing together voices from various perspectives, students, mental health professionals, educators, and policy experts. So without any further delay, let me welcome and introduce our panel of distinguished speakers. Our first panelist is Dr. Rajiv Kumar Shah. He's a reader in public health and an international lead at the School of Human and Health Sciences at the University of Huddersfield. Dr. Shah will be speaking on global recruitment trends and dynamics. Our second presenter is Mr. Bipin Dewardiju, Deputy Chief of Mission, Nepal Embassy, London. He will shed light on government policies, interventions, and support for international students, specifically in the UK. Followed by Pawan Kandel, founding president of Merging NepSocs, a national network uniting Nepali students and young professionals in the UK. He will discuss the issues and challenges faced by international students based on NepSocs experiences in the UK. And finally, we have Ganesh Kharka, director of the Uniladder Consultancy. He will address the role of consultancies in recruitment, both ethical practices and malpractices. So we look forward to a meaningful and engaging discussion today. So let's begin by inviting our first speaker, Dr. Rajiv Kumar Shah. Dr. Shah, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Susma, for the warm welcome. And thank you very much to Nepal Dialogue UK team for inviting me to talk about the global trends in Nepalese students around the world. So what I'll be doing is I will be presenting for about let's say 6 to 8 minutes, and then I will be setting the context in which the Nepalese students are going abroad. So I'll share my screen now. I hope everyone can see my screen. Please give me a thumbs up if you can. Okay, that's great. So yeah, so just about myself a little bit. I am Rajiv Shah. I'm a reader in public health and international lead within the School of Human and Health Science. As part of my responsibility as an international lead, I'm also responsible for recruitment from around the world, and South Asian is my area where I visit quite often for the recruitment of South Asian students, including Nepalese, that will include. And in that context, I do understand a little bit about like how the recruitment is moving towards like increasing number of Nepalese students coming to the UK. And that is evidenced by the data, what we have seen. But first, we need to understand why do the Nepalese students go abroad? And there may be many reasons for Nepalese students going abroad, starting from academic motivation to aspiration, where they want to get into the global world for the competitive future. There may be migration opportunities, and we cannot negate the action of the social pressure, where many people are going to abroad, and so the other friends and family they pursue them to just seek opportunities for the abroad opportunities. The other reasons might be about lack of a quality infrastructure for the higher education in Nepal. Whatever the reason is, it doesn't matter. The trend significantly signifies that there is an increasing trend of Nepalese students going abroad to Australia, to United States, to United Kingdom, Japan, South Korea, and many other countries. And that is shown by this figure. 1 in 5 Nepalese students are pursuing higher education and they choose to study abroad. And if you look from the no objection letter, which most of the students have to take before they go to any other countries, if you see the figure from ending July 2024, then more than 100,000 students took the no objection letter from Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Now, of course, there is a gap in those data, and many students take like 2 no objection letter because they are applying for different countries, and so they have to take different letter. So let's not get into that one. But even that is significant, because if you look at the trend where we were in 2015 and where we were projected to be now, in 2015, over 40,000 students were expected or were moving from Nepal to overseas countries. In 2025, that figure was expected to be around 110,000. So that is more than double in last 10 years, which is good in a way, but which is worrying as well. And if you look at the country-specific trends, then we can see a significant increase in Nepalese students going to Canada post COVID-19. And post COVID-19, there has been a quite sharp increase in students going abroad. So from 2021, you can see there was a sharp increase from about 1,500 to 15,000 going to Canada. If you move our focus to America, again, there was also like a significant increase, about 50% increase from 6,000, around 6,000 to 9,000 in 2024. And we can see from 2020, when there was COVID, it has increased quite significantly. Now, it'll be interesting to see 2025 figure after Donald Trump has come into power. I mean, I believe like that number will decrease, but it's still there there will be quite significant increase if you compare that from 2020. Now, moving to Australia, we know in the last 2 years there has been quite significant changes in immigration policy in Australia, and that's the reason you can see that there is a significant decline in there. But that doesn't mean that students are not going to Australia. A significant number of students are going to Australia as well. Now, let's move our focus to the United Kingdom. Now, in 2020, we had over 1,000 students coming to United Kingdom, and that has increased to over 8,000 students in 2023. So the figure which you see here is only between January to March 2024. And I was checking the data for the year ending December 2024. So last year, basically 12,655 students came to the United Kingdom. So that is a significant increase of about like 50% from the year 2023. I was looking for the data for this particular year, and this is the latest figure I found. So year ending March 2025, so from March 2024 to 2025, we have over 15,099 students granted visa. So you can see the year on trend. So year on trend means like by December 2024, so January 2024 to December 2024, we had 12,655 students. From March 2024 to March 2025, we have over 15,000 students. So you can see the trends is really increasing. And that is not going to, I mean, there has been changes in the UK immigration policy as well, but it looks like the Nepalese students have not been impacted by that trend. And we have become, so we were top sixth in the year ending 2024. Now we are in the top five. So you can see we are just behind Nigeria and just above America now in terms of like Nepalese students coming to the United Kingdom. And personally, I believe the decrease in trend is not going to happen with the UK because the Nepalese students who are coming to UK are very much not affected by the changes in dependent rule because most of our aspiring students that are coming is in the age between sort of like below 25, which means like the dependent visa is not very much significant impact on them, to my understanding, and we have to look at the data to change it. Now, with the increase in number of students, we all know that there will be challenges that the students will face. And there are multiple challenges. Sorry, I missed these slides. And this just showed the previous attribution, what I was saying, like there is quite significant increasing trend in terms of like, you see these are the declining countries. But if you see the countries which is increasing in number, the Nepal is on the top to the UK, and we increased last year about 63%, which Dr. Susma highlighted that earlier. So Nepal is really increasing in trend, especially to the students coming to the UK, and that is the reality of what we have now at the moment. So the point I was making is like with the increase in student number, of course, there are increase in the challenges that is faced by the students. Now, of course, there are many challenges, and we can discuss about that today within the panel. But I have categorized that into three broader challenges that possibly many will agree and many will not agree. And what I feel was there is three challenges. One is in terms of like academic transition and the challenges related to that. The second is financial pressure because, as you said, like the expectations of what they come from and what they're expecting after coming to the UK is very different. And that leads to the financial pressure. And that can be related to tuition fees, high cost of living, etc., etc. And the third one, which Dr. Susma highlighted earlier as well, is the case for social isolation and loneliness, and also academic and financial pressure that is leading to the mental health and well-being, and the lack of awareness about how and where they can seek support to overcome those mental illnesses is becoming one of the biggest challenges for our Nepalese students community. So these are some of the key areas which I want to highlight, and beginning from here, we can just talk about what are the other sorts of like challenges, what we want. So let's stop sharing my screen. And I will hand over to Dr. Susma to lead the discussion. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Dr. Shah. That was indeed a very thorough and insightful information and data regarding recruitment of Nepali students and the challenges they face. Our second panelist, I would like to invite now Mr. Bipin Diwaliju, Deputy Chief of Mission Nepal Embassy, and his thoughts and reflections on the government policies, interventions, and what support is available for international students here in UK, as well as his views globally. Over to you. Thank you, Diwaliju.
Thank you, Dr. Susma. Madam, thank you for having me in this virtual platform. And good morning and namaskar to everyone. Firstly, I would like to commend the convener of the Nepal Dialogue UK, Dr. Krishna Adhikari, and his team for hosting a webinar on such a pertinent theme and concern of our time. I wish a success of this webinar and expect that the discussion will yield key takeaways to help address the challenges faced by our students. I'll be very brief in my presentation. My understanding is that the title of today's program is, more academic in nature. We all know that student life has never been easy to anyone, and it is full of struggle, and it becomes more intense while studying abroad. But our students in the UK are not in the journey to anxiety. Instead, they are in a journey of hope. They are in a journey of achievement, and a challenge to transform their anxiety to into success, anxiety to achievement, and not vice versa. This is what my belief is. And again, not all students are in crisis. Yes, some of them are currently facing some sort of problems, and the reasons can vary, which we can discuss and which we know as well. But we should not generalize the cases. Each case has its own history, its own background, and should be understood and handled differently. But while saying that, I can be very candid that in the last couple of months we have faced a lot of problems here. I mean, several cases have been reported to us, and we have tried to address them in a way or the just to share with you a couple of instances. Like we learned that a student was mentally disturbed and hospitalized. I cannot personally, disclose the information. Uh, we reached out to his parents in Nepal and assisted them in a way or other to come to London. And the parents came here to take care of their child. So the case has been settled now. Uh, we also learned about a student who came in London to pursue his higher study, but was later found on the street, then in a homeless center. He was in a mentally disturbed and a distressed state. You know, I met him in person, and I cannot describe his situation was in detail. However, we were able to rescue him and send him back to Nepal. Uh, and there is one more case which we know recently a student has reportedly committed suicide. And we are in regular consultation with local police and other authorities to send the human remains in Nepal. Uh, of course, some unfortunate incidents are happening. Uh, you know, uh, on top of that, we often receive a lot of phone calls from parents in Nepal asking for some sort of help to their sons and daughters in finding jobs. Here in UK, I have personally reached out to many students to check in and see if they are doing well. So these things have been very natural to us now, and I think it's very normal. Each and every other day we get calls from Nepal, mainly for asking job, and even the students here can they to share with us what they cannot share with their parents, the problem they face here. I don't know why they do not ventilate everything or reflect their situation to their family members, but they share with us, they cry with us, and I personally counsel them. Whenever their problem is settled, they feel really excited. And again, they call me again. Oh, thank you so much for your help, this and that. So this has been our routine here in embassy. uh, the chapter, the problems have multiple chapters, and but we need to know the embassy is nowhere involved initially document to your students in UK. There is no involvement in embassy process of admission. And we all know that embassy had some sort of limitations of resources, but from our side, we are trying to be very responsive to the students, and we hope we'll be able to continue to do that in future as well. Uh, what I have learned in the last few months is that our students need good counseling, and we should not feel them discouraged and live in a low spirit. I'll be really happy to visit some of the universities and meet our students in person. Uh, if any student is here online, let me know. I'll come there and meet with you. If it works for you, uh, I urge our community leaders, members, scholars, individuals, and every responsible person to work together collaboratively. Uh, it's important that we unite to support those in need, and I encourage everyone to provide guidance, suggestions, and assistance as well, as many of you have been doing, which I know. Um, so, Susmaji, I think I need to stop here. Uh, but I need to. I must say that we're ready to support our students. Uh, I want them to stay in high spirit, should not be discouraged. Students' life, as I already mentioned, was and it's never easy. Mm, My only request to our students is to live with hope and optimism. You know, the struggle and suffering you face today will make you more resilient and confident in your future pathways. So thank you. Mm, yeah.
Thank you, Bipinju, for sharing your experiences and also highlighting what are the grievances and the support that you from the embassy side have been giving to students. And we look forward to your continuous support. Just would like to let everyone know, the members, that due to other prior commitments, Bipinju will be leaving a bit early. So if you have any questions related to him, please feel free to leave in the chat box and we will try to answer them as soon as we finished with our other two panelists. Now, moving on to the next panelist, we have Pawan Kandale, founding president of Merging NepSocs, and he will discuss and share his issues and challenges faced by international students based on his and NepSocs experiences. Over to you, Pawan.
Thank you, Dr. Susma. Just checking that you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
You can, right?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks to CNS UK, thanks to the Dr. Rajiv Saha and everyone present here. Without further ado, I want to start my presentation. So, for a very brief context, for those who do not know, Merging NepSocs is an umbrella organization of Nepalese students and young professionals in the UK. We have a very deep understanding of diaspora, home students, and international students. We have mentoring scheme programs, we have magazines, we run events in universities, we do campaign all across the UK, and we have representatives and ambassadors of Merging NepSocs in various universities. During COVID times, we had run a very specific helpline for international students. We had done 406 counseling. So we have case studies and reports from 460 students since COVID. And then after that, we continued the helpline. Obviously, we had funding element at that point. We do not have funding element now, but we still continue to provide counseling. And so we are very much updated with what's happening around international students. I'll share some statistics. Now, these data are coming from HESA, that is Higher Education Statistics Agency. What this data shows is that since 2019, there has been a sharp rise in the number of students from all around the globe. So in 2019, academic year 2019 to 2020, we had 554,000 international students in the UK, and then by 2024 the cumulative figure was 732,000. You can see that the trend followed by Asian countries is very much similar with the global total. So Asian countries as well sending 467 students by 2024. If you look at the data for Nepal, so in the academic year 2019 to 2020, we only had 1270 students, and by 2023 to 2024, the number of international students studying in the UK was 12,715. This feels a bit underreported because this does not include the figure of dependents. Also, obviously, this data ends at 2024. We do not have published data for 2025 from HE yet. Now, the interesting observation is that the global total flattens out between 2023 and 2024 for both Asian countries and the global total, but there is still a sharp rise between 2023 and 2024 from Nepal's perspective. Now, the reason that it flattens out for a global and Asian total is because two major changes happen in 2020, end of 2023 or the start of 2024. One is that students could no longer switch from student visas to work permit. And secondly, there was restrictions introduced in bringing dependents for master's students. Unless they are doing a research-oriented master's degree, they could not bring dependents anymore. So that had a huge impact in 2023 and 2024, but that did not affect Nepal. Nepal continues, continually it's rising. Now, I would think by 2025, that figure of 13,000 probably has reached around 20,000, excluding dependents, if it is going through the same trend and if we were to extrapolate this data. Now, if you look into further details, if you look at Bangladesh, Malaysia, and Sri Lanka and Nepal, so Bangladesh, with the population of 171 million people, had 12,000 students in 2024 academic year. Now, Nepal is competing with Bangladesh and Malaysia in terms of the number of students they have in the UK, international students. So Malaysia was always high, between 12,000 to 13,000. Nepal, you can see a sharp rise going from 1,200 to 13,000. So this is quite an interesting observation. So right now we compete, we are comparable with Bangladesh, although obviously Bangladesh has 6 times more population than Nepal. In terms of distribution of those 13,000 students, if you look at University College Birmingham, York St. John University, the University of Sunderland, and the University of Wolverhampton, these are 4 universities where we have more Nepalese international students than Indian students. In fact, in University College Birmingham, 43% of international students were Nepalese in 2024. 33% of students in York St. John, which is 1 in 3 international students in York St. John, were Nepalese. And then in top 25 universities, from University College Birmingham to London South Bank, 11,000 Nepalese international students were concentrated within those 25 universities, and none of these are Russell Group universities. If you look at the split of undergrad and postgrad, the split of those 13,000, 57% of these students were undergraduate students and only 43% were postgraduate students. Again, obviously, these figures do not include dependent students. Now, if you look at the distribution by region, you can see that London has 1 in 3 Nepalese international students. More than 4,000 international students were in London itself in academic year 2023 to 2024. So that is University of West London, University of East London, BPP Roehampton, and then West Midlands. All the students were concentrated in University College Birmingham, Birmingham City University, Wolverhampton University, Coventry. There are other interesting pockets like York St. John University, where 10% of the international students of the whole UK Nepalese population were there. East Midlands, popular universities were Demandford universities, Derby, Northampton, and then Sunderland, University of West Scotland. Those are important pockets as well. The overall message is that 1 in 3 international students are in London, and another 1 in 3 students are in either West Midlands or East Midlands. Now, this data does not come from higher education. This is from our own survey. At least, like overall, 48% people enrolled in British universities who are Nepalese are in business and management courses. These are international students, not home students. And then 18% were either in IT or computing related subjects. The common issues, since COVID, we had running an active helpline. We still have an active helpline. And the common issues we get from students is landlord issues, tenancy issues, not getting the deposit back, struggling to find minimum wages jobs, a lot of academic misconduct and plagiarism, and then applying for PSW. Lots of students have retakes, they run out of visas, universities do not publish results on time, and they do not get to apply for PSW. So that's another common issues. There are more complicated issues like mental health issues, homelessness, scam and money laundering, and recently there has been some deaths as well. Some immediate challenges, limited sponsorship opportunities. The likelihood that an international student has landed into a sponsored work permit job of their field is extremely low and pretty rare. The white paper has proposed some interesting changes, reducing PSW to 18 months, qualifying period for indefinite leave to remain from 5 years to 10 years. That's another proposals. Dropouts is getting popular. People are kind of finding ways to get into Europe, mostly Spain, filing asylum applications, and then a lot of students are stuck in further leave to remain because they don't know what to do next. They cannot get a sponsorship, they don't want to go back to Nepal. So the future is uncertain. Obviously, action points. I believe education consultancies need to uphold their ethical recruitment practices. Honest marketing is important, and obviously, students themselves, they seem not to be researching well. I believe government should introduce stricter code of ethics for educational agents, and there should be compulsory pre-departure orientation program, maybe in partnership with Nepal Embassy in London. And then diaspora needs to be more active in terms of providing support to international students. These are the findings. Other things will capture within the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you, Pawan, for sharing the experiences and issues faced by students here in UK, and also the challenges. More, as you mentioned, we'll be discussing in the Q&A session. Now we come to our final panelist, Ganesh Karka, who's the director of Uniladder Consultancy, and he will highlight and focus on the role of consultancies in recruitment, the ethical and malpractices. Over to you, Ganesh.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's morning there in London, but I'm here in Butwal, and it's quite hot, but cool inside. I would like to thank everyone, CNS UK, DCM Bipin Dawadi, Dr. Shishma, Dr. Rajiv, and Pawan Kondal for sharing such an insightful information about international students and Nepalese students specifically. So, I would like to highlight a few things. First, what we need to see from the perspective of agents is like, at this point of time, what we have seen, the visa success rate for Nepal has been more than 91%. The visa success for international students applying in British universities is 91%. That's the latest figure. But back in 2022-23, the rate was more than 95%. I think that's where something is getting wrong. First, from the British government, first thing. Second, UK universities are accepting everyone. You don't need IELTS. Your gaps will be accepted. There is no quality. Majority of the universities in the UK are accepting everyone. That's one of the challenges I see. Now, the third thing is Nepali students or the international students in context to British economy and everything. Nepal's GDP is almost, if you see the per capita income, UK's per capita income is 36 times higher than Nepal. And Nepalese international students are paying almost twice what British students pay there in the UK. So how are we balancing the definition of this social justice and other stuff? Some of the universities in the UK are monopolizing the international recruitment market in Nepal, where they are giving access to a single agent, and the single agent is responsible for recruitment of all those international students in those particular universities. That's absolutely an unfair practice. That's going on for the last 5 years. If they continue to do so, no agents in Nepal market would be able to flourish. Local agents will not have in-depth understanding of the entire process unless they are given an authority. So this is like, there are many agents who work via aggregators. The data provided by Dr. Shah was from Apply Board. Apply Board happens to be a Canadian-based international student recruitment agency who is dominantly recruiting international students from South Asia. Some of the universities in the UK are recruiting every 2 to 3 months, where they're just running a couple of courses, business management and international business management, computer science, in every 2 to 3 months, where the academic cycle in UK starts majorly in September, and some for master's degree, there are minor January intakes as well. But some of the universities are recruiting in every 2 to 3 months. So who is monitoring these recruitment practices? In some universities, data provided by Mr. Pavan, there are more than 60 to 70% international students from Nepal in a single class. 60 to 70% just the Nepalese student studying business management course at a single university. What is the point of paying in pound and being with all these Nepalese students? How are these universities addressing the issues of diversity? How are these universities addressing the issues of quality? I think these are the major things, what is happening beyond agencies. I mean, it's easy for everyone to blame at the end of the day. It's agents who are not being ethically working in the market. Yes, there are agents in the market who do work ethically, but there are many agents in the market who are unethical because they are unaccountable. They're unaccountable because there are aggregators in the market who would have direct access to the university, and these agents in the market, they don't need to be ethical. That's the model. Someone is offering a laptop, someone is offering a free ticket to London, someone is offering a free accommodation for a month. That goes against the ethics of recruitment.
Sorry,
There are
Ganesh,
many agents.
sorry, Ganesh, just to interrupt you because sorry for this. Just to let you know, there's a time restriction, and we have Vipin Diwadiju who has to leave early, a bit early. We're running out of time. If you could just wrap up a little bit, maybe, and then maybe then we can continue this after we.
Sure. I've got a few other things to say. So what I think is the global higher education overall entirely has been designed in such a way that the Western world or the developed world is likely to benefit from all these developing nations, where these nations' higher education is coupled with unstable politics, qualities, and where these educated graduates are getting into Western world and doing menial jobs. They are serving the local economies. So that's how everything is working. This is I think this is a bit kind of I think this is a conspiracy designed in such a way that much focus hasn't been given to the higher education of Nepal for less economic countries, because of which these students are compelled to leave. There are very few cases where students are willing to go to study. The reason hasn't always been study, because in the name of study, many migrants are moving forward in all these Western economies. So one of the major things what we need to understand is why these international students, why the number of is getting up to 12,000 is because of the policy by the British government, where 2019 they introduced a policy. They said we're gonna have more than 600,000 international students by 2030, but they managed to get that before 2023. That was the policy from the education department. And that is the reason they introduced post-study work opportunity, which was banned up until 2021. And that's the reason why we are seeing these large chunk of students getting in. And one of the major reason why Nepalese students are getting is because this is an agent-driven market. There are more than 4,000 agents in the market, more than 20,000 people working in the industry, and the market was heavily oriented for Australia, Canada, and other destinations, where all these destinations have capped international students. Now everyone is trying to work for UK. Data which will come for 2025 may be a surprising heavy, I presume more than 20,000 students will be coming from Nepal. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Ganesh. We're just going to take a question for Bipin Dewadiju because, as I said earlier, he has to leave early due to some prior commitments. So I'll just have a few questions directed to him. So Bipin, sir, if that's fine, if I'll just read out the questions for you, and if you could just wrap up, and then, like, probably we'll give you a chance to leave the series. Then I have a question from Ravindra Nyopani. I truly appreciate the work of Embassy of London and work of Deputy Chief Mr. Dewadiju for rescue and support to the Nepali students. The question is the embassy able to write to universities where there are a large number of Nepalese students specifically to undertake preventive measures from students falling into crisis? And following that, I've got another question as well related to the embassy from Woj. Question to the embassy. Since most students come to the UK via Nepali-run educational consultancies, could these consultancies be asked via the Embassy of Nepal, Nepal government, to educate prospective students before leaving Nepal about general UK laws regarding accommodation, that is tenancy agreement, license, deposit scheme, notices to be given before leaving accommodation, student halls, etc., so that they know what to expect and how to expect? Bipinji, your thoughts on this, please.
Well, thank you, madam. Just to correct, or anymore. Though I'm, running out of time, I would love to join the discussions, but I will try to be very brief. And I thank you, Ravindraji. You raise a concern about, I think that university-related things. We can directly write. Just let us know where the problem lies, especially our students where the size is big and then problem is also big. I mean, intense. Let us know about those universities. We will write to them and raise your concerns on your behalf. So we can do that. And the next question, I think, is about agency. Please let us know which agency, the student and the agency connection, which agency is not treating well to you or has given some sort of bad impression to you or wrong information, or let's say misinformation, or not responding you properly. If you do have any concern to the agencies in Nepal or here in UK, which are not that responsive to you think that they are not behaving you or any other sort of problem, we will directly write to the ministry. So I'm ready for that. Just let me know. If my answer works for you, then I'll be really happy. But I need to know your real problem. So I'll be really, I would really appreciate and I'll be really happy to assist you in this regard. And I will follow up to the government as well.
Thank you, Bipinji. Before you leave, just one more final question, and then we will let you go. I know you are in a rush. It's from Prakash. Really great, insightful data presented. By listening to you all, it feels like UK universities are using international students, including Nepalese students, as ATM or cash cows for them. What is the Nepalese government doing to tackle these issues and wrong practices happening to recruit students in Nepal? Question to Dewadiju.
Can you just repeat it once again?
Okay. By listening to you all, it feels like UK universities are using international students, including Nepalese students, as ATM or cash cows. What is the Nepalese government doing to tackle these issues and wrong practices happening to recruit students in Nepal?
I think I need to further study about this case because just hearing the concern is noted. Let me know in detail about the problem, and then I will reach out to you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bipinji, for your time, and we really appreciate it. And any further questions that we have, please feel free to put it in the chat box, and we will reach out to Bipinji through emails, and we will try as much as possible to be answerable to your questions. Having said that, thank you so much for your time, Bipinji, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you, madam, and thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Okay. All right then. We have finished our first round of remarks from all the panelists. I think we will just start with the questions, and then probably then we can discuss further if there are any specific issues or concerns that we want to talk about. There are a few questions that I would like to go through. Okay, I have a question again from Robindra for Professor Shah. Thanks, Professor Shah, for this great presentation with Global Movement of Nepali Students. Perhaps use of visa granted NOC letter would be better. Do you agree from the data that Nepal, based on population, has students going overseas disproportionately high numbers, example Bangladesh, etc.?
Yeah, thank you very much. Lovely to see you, Ravinder sir, here, and thank you very much for your question. Yes, the answer to both the question is yes. Yes, no objection letter is not a correct indication, and that's what I said. Like some students have to apply no objection letter for different countries, and there will be multiple occasions when the same students will apply for no objection letter. So that is not the right parameter for sure. But that gives us an indication like how much interest is there and how many students are getting away from Nepal. So yes, if you look at, if you remember my sort of like data from the Home Office, which I presented, that was based on the students granted visa to the UK. So the figure, what I said, year ending March 2025 for the UK was from the Home Office, and that many visa has been granted to the UK students coming to the UK university. So that is from the Home Office. And we always need to be careful in terms of like making sure that we use that granted visa numbers rather than the NOC, because that is not the right indications. And there will be other countries as well where we can get that distinct number for other countries. In terms of like the second question, which was about the proportionate, yes, definitely. I mean, Nepal somehow is becoming an outlier in terms of like how many number of people is coming from Nepal. And it was lovely to hear Ganesh Khatkaji, all the anger, what he was trying to put. I'm sorry for the words. I mean, I was just trying to say, and you are rightly so. I mean, it's very much right. And there is a lot of sort of like interpretation of who is at fault, whether the fault is on other people or whether the fault is on Nepalese government, Nepalese students, British university. I don't know. That is the topic for the discussion. We'll go there. But yes, definitely there is a disproportionate number of people coming from Nepal. Just consider the Pakistan population is about 247 million. And out of 247 million, only 36,000 students came to UK. Same with the Bangladesh is about 171 million population and 8,000 students came to the UK. Nepal population is 30 million. And we had about like 15,000 students coming to the UK in the year ending March 2025. So there is a clear disproportion. Now, the question here is why? Why Nepalese students are coming in that much proportion? Is it because the UK government has loosened their or has set up the target? I mean, UK government will set up the target according to the UK policies. They will not look at Nepal policy to set their target of 600,000 or whatever their target is. And that will include students from every country. So there must be something which is beyond UK government policy that is driving number of Nepalese students coming to the UK. Otherwise, if it is to do with the UK policy, then with the population of 247 million from Pakistan, we could have easily seen maybe more than 100,000 people coming from Pakistan and not from Nepal, if we are trying to sort of like blame the policies of the UK for that increase in the number. So we need to think about why the students from Nepal are coming. That's number one. And number two, coming to the context of this sort of like webinar, what is going on? Are they really in the crisis? As our sort of like Dwediji from embassy said, like we should not generalize the situation. Is every student in crisis? I mean, many on this webinar will be those who came to UK as a student, and here they are well established. They are sort of like trying to do good job. They are doing well. So are all the students in crisis, or are we trying to sort of like take just few number of students? I don't know what the proportion is, and trying to generalize this. movement of people from one country to another country is not a new thing. It's a very, very old tradition. But how we are going to manage that, that is what is on us. And that is what we need to think about. And so we can discuss about that. Thank you, Dr. Susma.
Thank you, Dr. Shah. We've got another question for Pawan Kandale from Nick Hinton. How easy would it be to set up a buddy system where Nepalese students in UK are linked to a Nepalese family already living and working in the UK? Would that help them feel more at home here and make them better able to deal with problems that arise?
Thanks, Nick. I think that sounds quite good. Particularly, sounds a bit like mentoring in corporate platforms. They have buddy systems, but in this context, the immediate problem is the volume of the problem. There are thousands of students facing issues. So, in the diaspora is still in a transitional phase. They are still figuring out. I wouldn't say Nepalese diaspora is a very established diaspora. They are also kind of new. Um, so that budding could be a bit tricky on a one-to-one mapping basis. However, having said that, we have more than 200 community organization, non-profit, which are like Samaj in each like regions like Wolverhampton, Birmingham, London, across the UK. Then I think as soon as someone lands in the UK, I think we could buddy them with the community organization. Plus, what we are trying to do from Merging NepSocs is trying to get involved early on. We always find students finding us when they have a problem later. But I think what would have been useful is if consultancies link those students with us pre-departure. So maybe we can, like help them revisit their decision or help them choose locations or universities and then connect them with the community organizations.
Okay. Thank you, Pawan. I hope, Nick, he answered your question. Moving to the next question for Ganesh from Rabindra Nupani. Recruitment agency industry, both example ICANN as well as British Embassy and other institutions, can the recruitment be improved by working together in Nepal?
Well, ideally it should be. It could be ideally, but what has happened lately is I've seen executive members from ECAN and all these big organizations, the FACAN, ECAN, IRIN, NECAN, and there are more than 4 to 5 umbrella organizations where they represent more to 4 to 500 agencies. They are involved in malpractices. What do we expect out of them? I don't know.
Okay. All right. Next question is for Dr. Shah, Bhagirath Yogi. What should the British universities do to take care of international students, and what should Nepal government do to make sure that Nepali students know the situation in the UK and other countries before leaving?
Thank you, Bhagirath sir, for the question. And I think this is very, very important question, I would say. I mean, British University is quite aware of, and being an international lead within my universities, I know we are doing a lot of work to ensure that those malpractices or those uninformed decisions are not taken by the students, and they benefit from the education system rather than get treated as some other members talked about like cash cows. It's not. British University do understand the problem, and we are, as a university, we try our best to sort of like support our students in the way they can be supported. But of course, I mean, it's like it all starts with where the problem starts, and that is where the second part of the questions comes into play, in terms of like what can the Nepalese government or the universities or whatever the bodies are they can do together to sort of like support the student recruitment system or students going abroad. I'll give you one example. I mean, recently I visited India, and as part of the recruitment, my job is like I do provide training to the recruitment agents to talk about the courses we offer to the students in those countries. And I was quite surprised. I mean, normally you will expect they are very receptive to the British universities and they'll be like, oh, yes, yes, we'll do everything. But I was quite surprised. He was like, oh, the interest in British university is decreasing. And I was like, why? And he was like, because people are not getting the return on their investment. Do you see, this is the thought process here. what the students there are doing now in India is like, it's not only going abroad. They are thinking about the return on investment now, and they are asking that questions to the agents. So what is my future prospects? Do I get a return on my investment if I go to UK? And if not, they are not coming to UK, because India is developing and they have a lot of opportunities there. So if, let's say, if they have to come here and do the manual service, they would rather stay. Saying that, that doesn't mean that Indian students are not coming to the UK. There is still a lot of Indian students coming to the UK. What I'm trying to say here is like, there is an increasing awareness from the Indian students now. They are asking questions that if I'm going to invest this £20,000 or over 3 years about 60, £70,000, then what is my future like? Now, have we got the same system in Nepal? I will doubt. That is the problem I see personally. I've spoken to many students in Nepal, and when I speak to students in Nepal, so why do you want to come to UK? And they're like, oh no, just I want to leave Nepal. They don't want to come to UK, they want to leave Nepal. So there is a difference between coming to UK or leaving Nepal. So they don't want, they just want to leave Nepal and go anywhere where they can settle themselves. And there is a difference. So it's not only about aspiration of the education, it's about they want to leave Nepal. So there is one problem. Second question I ask is like, so okay, what courses you are going to study? And the answer very often I get is like, oh, any courses that will give me the visa, I will go for that. Now, what the problem I'm trying to say here is, it's about that awareness. Coming to UK or coming to any other countries, going to any other countries is not bad. It is a good education, and we need to appreciate that. I mean, if you are studying in UK or any other countries, you need to appreciate the education system. It's a good system. But it's about like this intense and the awareness, the education of the student when they are coming to a study there. Is it right? Is it like they are aware about where they are going and why they are going? Have they done enough research about it? Is it an informed decision? And that is where the problem lies in my understanding. So to answer, yes, Nepal government need to look into how they can work with the educational agencies as well as the British government or other governments to ensure that when students are leaving Nepal, they are informed about their decision of why they are going abroad for the education and how they are going to excel there. So not generalize it as we said earlier. It's about like those group of students. The data by Pawan sir was like about 57-58% of students have come for the undergraduate degree. I mean, is it really feasible? Let's think it practically. I mean, before data was low, the reason was most of the students were coming for the postgraduate 1 year degree course. That means the opportunity was a little bit higher because they were PSW and etc. The cost was low. Now students are committing to invest for 3 years. That is equivalent to about £45,000, and they are not even thinking about the return on investment. Then how we will succeed? And those are the questions we need to ask. And if we work with Nepalese government, definitely I think we are going to find the solution. But we need to find the reputable organization, government, and the educational body to work together to find the solutions to this. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Shah, for this insightful answer. I've got another question from Sujit Pandit. Given the current economic landscape and limited job prospects for international graduates, is it increasingly unwise for Nepali students to pursue undergraduate degrees in the UK? Wouldn't a postgraduate route offer better returns on investment, career opportunities, and visa pathways? I think Pawan, what is your view on this? Then maybe Ganesh, and then probably then we come to Mr. Shah on recruitment.
Thanks, Dr. Susma. So I believe now it depends on the intentions. Obviously, UK universities, there are good universities, world-class institutions. So we shouldn't generalize if they're coming to Russell Group universities or even non-Russell, but like let's say Bath is a non-Russell Group university, very good for engineering. So it depends on the type of the courses. But when it comes to international students, 99% of those students, as we saw the data, are enrolled into, like a non-Russell Group, universities with very easy entry requirements. If the intention is just to get into the university, just come to the UK, then 100% there's no point coming for an undergraduate courses, because I have already mentioned that the chances that they will land into a work permit or sponsorship visas for a field of their work is very slim. I have rarely seen international students, very few, unless obviously those coming in chevening scholarships and who have academic background, that's a different story. But most of these international students would definitely struggle to get into a work permit. That's why so much investment to, like, study undergraduate course uh, would not really be worth it. So I guess postgraduate courses make more sense, but obviously this has been more trickier now because only research based courses can bring dependents. Previously the tactics was that they would bring a dependent and the dependent would fund their education, but that no longer applies. So we all need to revisit, maybe even the postgraduate is not worth it anymore, because if you are not going to land into a sponsorship visa for a field of your work, then you're wasting period of your youth, important prime period of your life in the UK, and you're going back home with nothing. So I guess it all depends on case by case scenario. If the intention is not to study, or if you do not have academic background, then I think it's a waste of time. Either it be postgrad or undergrad.
Thanks, Pawan. Ganesh, what do you have to say on this? Your thoughts, please.
Right. I think the question should not be like whether it's UG or PG. The major issue is a student who pays 25 lakhs from Nepal comes to London, who managed to show a bank statement or education loan of more than 45 lakhs, becomes a destitute person within a week in London. That's the problem is. The problem is there. All of a sudden, a student who has all the money there in Nepal, all of a sudden doesn't have anything once he is there. I think that's the problem is obviously if someone comes at an age of 18, 19, 20, if they get into a proper institution, they're likely to grow. But do these students understand the value of education? Are we just quantifying just for the sake of how much money are these students are making? Aren't we supposed to educate on the basis of the role of education once they graduate? It's not going to be immediate. It's going to last for decades. No one is going to get benefit just finishing a degree. That's a long-term investment. I think we need to look from a bit different perspective. That what I see is Nepal obviously have a young population, and that's where majority of the UG market is. That's the market, right? And obviously the consumption by the Nepalese universities is very low. The retention rate, quality, again, stable politics, a lot of issues are here because of which these students are compelled to leave. That's not a choice. They are compelled. And other reason is like most of the people who went back in 2000, 2010, 2000, in last 3 decades have managed to settle. And that's where the people are aspire to be. Like these people see the stories of us sharing pictures in social medias where someone is sharing a post from the beaches and some of the beautiful hotels, nightlife and everything, and probably people are influenced by it, and that is also a reality. And these UGs, the young people are more likely to be influenced. There are many other stuff, so I would see from a different angle. Thank you.
Thank you, Ganesh. Dr. Shah, your thoughts on this, please?
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I don't know how to respond to this question. I mean, according to me, I mean, my belief is like education is never bad. It doesn't matter at what level, but you need to make a right decision at the right time. I'll give you an example again for the like postgraduate research, and there are many students who have come here to study PhD. In just last 1 year, from my university, we had 4 PhD students. 3 PhD students graduated, and one is in the process of submitting his final thesis. And all 4 of them has got a permanent position in the UK and a sponsorship. So you can see it like for the PhD students, this is a good news. Let's go to postgraduate thought program. I don't have, I mean, I teach on public health program. I don't have students, Nepalese students on my program, but I know that there are students who have got job and they're doing well in that particular field. We do not have numbers like other universities. We have manageable number of students from different countries, but they are getting into the professional job. But sponsorship in this country is becoming challenging, and you can't ignore that. I mean, the threshold salary at the moment for the sponsorship is like 38K plus. Now, just think about like which job you will get soon after graduating, which will pay you 38K. That's unrealistic. So basically, there is an indication that you are not going to get into the sponsorship. But you need to make your choice and you need to make your decisions. As I said earlier, the British government will make the policies that fits to their needs. They will not make the policy that fits to other people's needs. And we need to be realistic about it. Okay. Now let's come back to the undergraduate student. I mean, yes, there are many undergraduate students who are able to afford undergraduate education in this country, and they are doing very, very good. I know many examples. I'm in touch with many of the students. They are doing good because they can afford. The problem is, if you cannot afford, and I'm sorry to say this, education should not be a discussion about whether you can afford or not. But in this case, I have to say the education in the UK is very expensive, and not everyone can afford it. It's an unequal society all over the world. Although we try to make it equal, it is very difficult. So the reality of it is not everyone will be able to afford to study in the UK. And I believe a student need to make that decision whether they are able to afford the UK British education or not. If not, then what is the other option that might give them the education? I don't want to discourage the students to get into the education. They need to do their undergraduate degree, their postgraduate degree, because that is one of the best beneficial things to do. But they need to find where they can afford to take those educations. If they cannot they cannot afford undergraduate 3 year, then they should do the undergraduate where they can afford and come for the postgraduate degree. That is more affordable because it is 1 year program. So it is all about making an informed decision rather than generalizing anything, to my understanding.
Thank you, everyone, for sharing your insights into this question. I've got another question from Dr. Krishna Adhikari for Dr. Shah and Pawan. How would you comment if you have any information in light of the figure presented by Ganesh on the recruit practices of the UK universities from the ethical point of view? Are we now seeing the reinvention of bogus institutions? Pawan, do you want to go first?
Yeah. In terms of ethical practices, so we, Merging NepSocs, find ourselves helping international students communicate with universities in complicated scenarios. From our experience, what universities are doing is that they have a very low standard for entry. They waive English requirement. If student can get a proficiency letter from their college back in Nepal, they don't even need to do any PTE, IELTS, or anything like that. So the quality of entry is very poor. But when once students joins the program, uh, we have seen various cases where like universities trying to retest their English requirement skills, like English test. They are having to do English tests in one of the London universities after they have already joined the courses. And these universities do know that this sort of students will be dependent on, will be using ghostwriters, that is paying people to write their assignments. They will also be using AI, but there is no academic support or anything. So lower the entry standard, bring a lot of students, and then become stricter, and then do not provide any support or guidance. So there's a bit of bullying sort of behavior from university as well. So that's a fundamental problem. The second about bogus institutions is a lot of universities are partnering with, no offense, the study group kind of thing, where they have foundation years like year zero program for business and management. Why should student pay 12,000-13,000 pounds per year for year zero foundation program to get into year one business and management? So that is a reinvention. That is a deviation from what university should be doing. So I think that's my comments on ethical practices at the moment.
Thank you, Pawan. Professor Sir? Oh, sorry, Dr. Shah.
So yeah, I think it's quite difficult to sort of like raise ethical issues on anyone behalf. What I'll say is like, again, it's very difficult to generalize things. As Pavan said, that there are institutions who are basically taking everyone and almost everyone without any support. Another thing, yes, there are institutions like that, but there are also institutions where we do provide a sort of like a proper support system for the international students when they are here. So I don't know about other universities, but for example, I think, I mean, especially I can talk about my own department where we have a dedicated academic support, skill support system available for the international students. Now, I'm not here trying to promote my university. What I'm trying to say here is like, it depends on what type of institution you are talking about. Now, there are institutions which are overwhelmed because of these international students, the number of international students they have, and they don't have the proper system in place. And I mean, I should not name this, but what I would say is like there are many universities that have got the branch campuses and they are running as a branch campuses in the London to attract students. And Pavan, you gave the figure like how many students they are based in London. So I think, I mean, those are some of the ways where possibly it is not ethical. But again, I will come to the point like the UK institution or UK government will create their policy based on what fits to them. So where do the problem lie? I mean, what is the other side doing? Why the example you gave about the study group is like, and I have seen those examples. Nepal ISC or 10+2 is recognized, and based on that, you can directly get to the first year of undergraduate program in the UK. And I believe that information is available everywhere, everywhere, and all the students will know that. And if they know that, then still why they come to the Air Zero with the study group, even if they know that information. So is it the agent who are trying to convince them, no, go for Air Zero, and then going there, or is it the student themselves, they are making an informed decision that, no, I will get the visa on Air Zero, and then I will go there. So we need to understand that aspect. Students need to, there is a lot of information on the web nowadays. There is a lot of information they can research for, and they need to start making the informed decision. They need to start making the source of like asking those difficult questions about ROI, return on investment. Until and unless we create that awareness within our Nepalese students community in Nepal, I think we'll be talking about these issues. And to do that, we will need support from Nepalese government, we'll need support from our educational partners, we'll need support from study group, university, whatever is there. It's a collaborative work to make sure that the students benefit from this process of education.
Thank you, Dr. Shah. We've got another question for Ganesh from Binita Sapkota. It appears that the increasing flow of students from Nepal to the UK is largely driven by the commercial interest of educational consultancies who prioritize commission-based enrollment over providing accurate and realistic information about studying in the UK. As an educational consultant, what specific actions are you taking to differentiate your practice from those primarily focused on maximizing 100 student numbers for personal financial gain?
Thank you, Vinitaji. I think that's an absolutely good question. So earlier I raised the issue of diversity. I think diversity should be there in universities. If a single university is recruiting hundreds of students for a single course, that's where the problem is. That's where the problem with the recruitment and everything messes up there. What I can proudly say is we have recruited in more than 50 plus universities in the UK. We have diversified our recruitment. That's one of the things we do. We focus. I mean, our model of recruitment, we focus on the basis of academic background and their aspirations, and also their basis of their financial condition. These are the key parameters we look at. If these things align and the student is okay, then only we move forward with the application process. Up until 2023, we would not even take any applications without the payment from the student. What we believed is like, I mean, we would take 10,000 rupees and we won't take anything beyond that. But to do that, what we would say is like, you should be fully informed to process further, right? That's what we would do. What we have done over the past few years is like, I've made more than 400 videos to inform these students. If you check my YouTube channel, I've done multiple dozens of live sessions, more than 1 hour, where I've tried to bring all these students queries and then give them insight about studying in UK. The problem with I think with Nepal is, again, it's a agent driven market. Majority of the agents, if they focus on a single destination, that is likely to have mass number of recruitment. So Nepal's agent driven market was focused for Australia. Now it's focused for UK. That's the simple thing. The other thing is the recruitment model in itself. Majority of the universities, they have modeled recruitment in such a way that the bigger number, the bigger commission, bigger bonuses, bigger yeah, that's how the university have modeled the recruitment. And I think think, rightly said by Pawan, the pathway providers like study group, there are multiple pathway providers in Nepal. There are roughly 5 to 10%, 10 pathway providers who have access to good number of universities, and they recruit through the pathways. They recruit through pre-masters, they recruit through international foundation year, where in majority of the cases, these students are eligible to get into bachelor's or master's directly. There are universities in the UK who accept 45% for a direct master's. There are university with 2.2 from Nepalese plus two would be accepted for a direct bachelor's. Why should these students get into pathway providers? So I think if the government of Nepal and if the embassy of Nepal could look into the role of these pathway providers, because the more majority of the dropouts are within this segment, within this pathway providers. There was a massive dropout at De Montfort University previously. Back in 2020, early COVID, I think there was a massive dropout at Huddersfield University. There was a massive dropout at University of South Wales. So these were some of the universities where pathway were highly promoting. So I think that's those are the challenges, and obviously, unless this is modeled in such a way that there is a standard practice within the recruitment from the universities. Uh, uh, Yesterday, I was in a conversation with a guy in Butwal. He said, like, within this 1 year, there have been more than 15 agencies have been set up in Kathmandu, in Butwal, a small region in Nepal. So these numbers are likely to grow. I mean, there's no way. I don't see anything coming up which will prevent these students being in trouble. Because I mean, everyone would at the end of the day. I mean, all thing about these post-student visa briefmen, everything would be, in majority of the cases, those who work for UK, they do brief about all these issues like post-study visa departure sessions, and we do run all these sessions. We do provide all these information, but at the end of the day, it's about like in practice. At the end of the day, it's probably about the blame game from the society that is likely to come to the agents, and the agents are likely to be in the forefront of being blamed. What we have seen from the local local leaders in the Nepalese society is they offer 5 kg of rice, some buckets of vegetables, and then start posting that in social media, saying that, okay, Nepalese students are in trouble and we are helping them. That's absolute madness. That should be stopped. That should be completely stopped. Second thing is, this society is still in a position where a student gets a work permit or a student gets a highly professional job. They cannot accept it. One of my students who managed to get a work permit was asked multiple times, where do you work in a restaurant? Which restaurants? He belonged to an IT profession. He managed to secure a job with his academic background. And this is the mindset of Nepalese community as well. We are glorifying the few percentage of drawbacks that's happening in the sector. But at the same time, no one has promoted anything as such where these students have managed to do well. In 2020, I interviewed a student who managed to get a job. It was not 2020, it was early 2022. A dependent managed to get a job worth £46,000, and I made a TikTok video. I started posting in the social media, and everyone questioned. He's an actor. He was compelled to say these things to get these jobs and everything, because the society was not accepting the fact that a dependent who came within a very few months period of time could get a professional job. And later the guy said, okay, Ganesha, would you mind just deleting that video because I have been getting so many views? He was actually, I mean, this is the condition of the society. So are we trying to promote something which is happening good in the society, or are we just like talking about the things which went wrong? We need to balance this. Thank you.
Just need to keep in mind the time. I've got another question, open question to all panelists from a very thought-provoking question from Loketo Takal. So, do we have data for how many students were employed in their respective profession after their studies, say for last 5 years? I think employment data must not be encouraging. Do majority come for study only to be part of illegal employment market in the UK? Whoever wants to start first.
I'll go first. I think you're right, sir, that yes, the employment will not be very encouraging. And I think if we break down into the undergraduate, postgraduate, and postgraduate research level, then there will be quite a lot of discrepancies on that level. As I said earlier, I mean, after postgraduate research, I mean, now even the definition of postgraduate research is MSc by research and PhD. So I will try to say who has completed the PhD, the employment rate is quite good and encouraging. Whereas when it comes to the postgraduate thought program, I think it'll be a bit on the shaky ground. Undergraduate, I think definitely the figure will be very, very bad, in my opinion. I mean, not the employment figure, even the completion rate for the undergraduate, I believe, is very, very low. So yes, that's quite discouraging. But as you said rightly, like, is there any data about it? I don't think I'm not seeing any data, any concrete data about it. The university do collect data on their graduates, but that's only after 15 months of their graduation, which is not really a sort of like right, I don't know, I mean, right way to see that, because with the international students, basically after 15 months, basically they are halfway through their PSW and they might be in a different, so it's very, very difficult. So I'm not seeing any concrete data related to that particular thing. But yeah, that is something it'll be quite good to achieve in terms of like whether really everyone goes through the same phase or is it really different for different. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Shah. Just keeping our eyes on our time as well. We are slightly 3 minutes to be 11:30. So what I'm going to do now is, like, we've got many questions. Thank you so much. But again, as I said, we will try to answer your questions in emails again. We will just try to get some final remarks from our panelists, maybe a minute each, just to wrap up. What are your experiences? Are there any final thoughts that you would like to give? And also any suggestion, any feedbacks that you would like to give us, Center for Nepal Studies UK, for our future series. I hope we will be organizing more in future. So any feedback, any suggestions that you would like to give us, please wrap up in 1 minute just to keep in mind the time frame that we have. Thank you. So shall we start with, maybe let's start with Ganesh, then we start with Pawan, and then we'll wrap up with Dr. Shah. Yeah, Ganesh, your final thoughts, please make it short and sweet. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I think I've covered most of my sayings. For now, what I would suggest is like the student should be in a position with the informed decision making process in this recruitment. And what happens with the students in Nepal is like they are not used to with the model of asking questions and what goes when and how they're going to benefit out of the education, and everyone is comparing on the basis of making money and other stuff, so as long as the student can understand whether they should use an agent or not, first that's the question. I mean, whether they should get assistance from the agency, and what is the knowledge of what is the information that these agents can provide, what is the depth of information these agencies. So majority are focusing on many students, they just go to their relatives, the families who run agencies. I mean, they may not have adequate information. And a lot of people who have been working closely with Australian or Canadian universities for the last so many years are now entered in the market for working for the UK. To some extent, majority they lack information in the entire for the recruitment cycle. What happens there? What's the recruitment? What are the deadlines and other many areas where they fail to understand the entire recruitment process. So I think the students should be in a position to understand what role these agents play. First thing, in terms of society and other stuff, I think I highly doubt what government could do lately, because I don't see any tangible impact going on for the last so many years. Within the Nepalese diaspora there in the UK, I think we should be more open with this set of questions, comments, conversations, and more engagement, more physical probably, or virtual. I think that would help. Thank you.
Thank you, Ganesh. Pawan, your thoughts, please, your final remarks.
Thanks. My final remarks would be that I think someone also put on the feedback box. Yes, people come for economic purpose more than academic reasons. Nepal is a free country. UK is a free country. If they want to come for economic purpose, that's fine. Consultancies are in a profit-making business. That's fine too. But the main crux of the matter is that students should get an opportunity to make an informed decision. They should make the calculated risk whether they want to come for undergrad or postgrad or not altogether. In terms of employment data, we do not have any set employment data, but I can promise you that there are more asylum seeker pending applications than sponsorship visa. And the new trend is these dropouts are going to Spain. A lot of Schengen visas in process. That's the conclusion from my end.
Thank you, Pawan. Dr. Shah, your final remarks, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I believe like we had some lovely discussions, and it's about like the dialogue needs to continue on this really very, very important topic. But coming to the point of our discussion today, are Nepali students abroad in crisis? Yes, they are in crisis, and we should not ignore the fact. But of course, when you are aspiring to do something good, you will need to go through that crisis. That is life. That is life. You cannot go to the other parts in just a straightforward line. It's a challenging environment, and you need to survive. You need to prepare yourself, motivate yourself for this challenging context, and to survive that, to get on the other side of it, so that you will have a real good life, and that is very, very important part of it. So I will say the number of students who are coming to the UK or anywhere abroad, so I think we talked about 1 in 5, and that's still 80% of students who are not getting and who are still staying in Nepal. Now compare that 80% to the 20% who have come abroad, and take the view of not 1 or 2 years, take the view of about 10 years, and see where that 80% of students are and where that 20% of students are. And if you see like in the 10 years planning of that development of yourself for the students, if they are benefiting in long term, then I think it is good for the students, for the aspirant, for the country, and for the community. but we should not leave it as it is. We need to come collectively together. We need to come together with the diaspora who is in the UK and other parts of the world. We need to work together with the university. We need to work together with the government to make sure that this sorts of migration which is happening, we can make it more effective and impactful. That is going to benefit the person who is migrating as well as the country in general. And that is where we will achieve something which is good for all of us. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you to all our panelists for your insightful contributions, and also audience for your active engagement and thoughtful questions. Today's discussion has definitely brought to light the aspirations that drive Nepali students to seek education abroad, but also the pressing anxieties and challenges they face once they arrive here in the UK, from emotional well-being and financial pressures to institutional gaps and policy shortcomings. These insights are not just academic observations, they are lived realities for thousands of young Nepalese striving for a better future. As a researcher, educator, policymakers, and members of the wider community, we have a shared responsibility to continue these conversations beyond today and to work towards solutions that are informed, compassionate, and sustainable. Now, on behalf of the Center for Nepal Studies UK, I would like to thank you all once again for joining us today. We hope